most of us don't think about plastic in the air. It seems like such a bizarre thing. Like, I'm looking around at this air around me. How am I breathing in all of these microplastics? And you know, between you and I, my air here is filtered, so I'm probably not. But unless you're filtering your air, you probably are breathing these in, both in outdoor air, primarily in cities where the air quality itself is poor. When we talk about particulates in the air, which there's a lot of apps that will tell you the number of particulates in your air, even things like the Weather Channel, and airnow.gov will give you in the US a really good assessment in real time of the particulates in your air. We have to be mentally thinking that some of these particulates are nanoplastics. The concentration in indoor air of nanoplastics is much higher than it is in most outdoor air environments. And again, most of this is coming from laundering our plastic our synthetic fabrics, but also other textiles, things like carpeting and furniture. As it's breaking down, that's plastic. And we're breathing in those little particulates. So making sure that you're running an air filter, that you're changing your filter often, that if you have forced air heat, get your ducts cleaned out. If you have a lot of dust build up in your home, a lot of that dust is nanoplastic and microplastic fibers. So that leads us into this question of, does any of this matter to our health? Like, it's kind of gross that we're eating this much plastic, but is it more than just unappealing? Like, does this actually impact our health? And especially when we breathe it in, we're finding that, yep, it really does matter. And it seems to create things like localized inflammation, increased reactive oxygen species, and increased oxidative stress, among other things that we'll talk about shortly when we get this into us. So actually, let me go back to that for just a second. Once these particulates are in our bodies, they give us things like that increased inflammation, localized inflammatory responses, but these particulates also start to leach their other chemicals once they're in our body. So if you breathe them in and they're in your lungs, once deposited there, they then leach these other chemicals like PAHs and their dyes and other synthetic genotoxic chemicals into our bodies. And so then we have to deal with the secondary effects of those toxins. And the plastic is just the carrier of those toxins, essentially. So there is a lot of potential health impact that we are starting to see. Now, again, these are fairly recent studies that hadn't gotten a lot of attention, so we need to start paying attention to this. So microplastics, threat to our respiratory systems and our digestive systems when we are breathing them in. It's from 2020. And the authors here, this was a really fantastic review article. If you're interested, I'd absolutely encourage anybody to go back and read it. The study authors concluded that this was a clear and present danger that we really need everyone to start waking up and being aware of this